Hey, Eventini, how's it going tonight? Turn Giants coming at you here. Post game, live. Juve beat Bologna 3-0 with Dash and our special guest tonight, Weston Pagano. How you doing, buddy? Introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Happy to have something positive to talk about, which is certainly not the case for a lot of the season so far. But yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Of course. You're not new to Turn Giants, of course. You've been on the podcast multiple times, but this is your first time on the YouTube, and we're excited to have you as well. And you do something on the side too, don't you? You want to promote that at all?
Oh yeah, you mean like on Foot Italia, just writing a
Yeah.
couple articles. I've written a couple articles for the SB Nation folks over at Black, White, and Red all over. Just mostly tweeting, but always happy to kind of bounce in and out when I can and get really, really irrationally angry about kit rankings like that.
For sure, yeah. So you got some credentials, anyways. You are a writer for the Juventus community. We use all those websites. So I mean, it's happy to have one of the contributors on here and hear it right from the horse's mouth, of course. And Dash, how you doing tonight?
I'm okay. I was going to do a bit, but I grabbed Spanish wine instead of Italian wine, so I totally messed that up. But anyways, I'm good, guys. It's Victory Monday. We finally got a win. God, it feels so bad saying that, but we won. We finally won.
Yeah, we did. It's exciting though.
I know, right? Definitely. So I guess Allegri did something. Got a new outfit. Went to Weight Watchers because new Allegri, new me. I'm digging it. I'm buying it right now.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is part of the whole rebrand, the whole new year, new Juve, whatever this nonsense is. But again, with the pink hits, you guys down with that? No?
Look, I wore the craziest third kit that I had this occasion. I think third kits, the whole purpose of them is to be fun and wild and do something crazy. But sometimes it hits and sometimes it misses. This one I just think is a little underwhelming as a missed opportunity. It's not the neon green atrocity from 2015, but it could have been better. But it is what it is. I know some folks are mad about it being a home game, but it was kind of cool seeing Szczesny in the away shirt. So got that.
The one thing I've noticed though is like predominantly, even when we're away, we've been using the third kit more than we use the away kit. I don't know if it's just me, but it's like a trend I've seen like the past maybe 2.5 years. Because like even with the Pirlo season, we use the orange kit more than we use like, the away kit.
That was so bad. The jack-o'-lantern kit.
Yeah, the all year round Halloween kit.
Yeah, because their Halloween kit, it's just like a one-off, but we kept it for the whole season.
Yeah,
I mean, at least we're not like Napoli. Napoli has like 8 kits that they wear at some point of a season.
They have had good kits in the past, but now they're with who is EA7 anyways?
It's like the Giorgio Armani collaboration, which makes it sound a lot more special than it really is. They've been pretty underwhelming too. The Kappa ones were beautiful.
Yeah,
big Kappa guy in general. So.
Yeah, I like the Kappa ones. Those were nice. I like the ones a few years back that kind of had, I don't know, it was like a leopard or whatever, that cat kind of pattern in it, and it was the neon blue on the black. I don't know. I liked it, but we're not talking Napoli today. Screw those guys. Let's get into it. So 3-0, 3 beautiful goals. Like all of them were beautiful. Let's start off on a positive. We'll break them down. The first one, Filip Kostic. Oh man, yeah. Weston, break that one down for us.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to be the sort of Debbie Downer here. I think all the goals were beautiful, but that one is perhaps the strongest example of the sort of negative anti-silver lining, I guess the gray lining. I don't really know what that would be metaphorically speaking, but it came from an opponent mistake. Obviously, great pressing, great counter, and it's been a while since we've seen some strongly executed counters. But one thing I noticed is, that goal came from an opponent mistake in a counter. The second goal was an opponent's mistake in a counter. And the third goal, wasn't a set piece goal because it went around the block, but came from a set piece as well. So again, not complaining, obviously, but I'm looking forward to when Kostic and Vlahovic can actually combine with us, kind of creating something from scratch, right? Us saying, look, we're dominating the game. This is how we're going to play our game. But I'll take what I can get in the meantime. Obviously, the provider turned goal scorer, and you saw them reverse their roles from what they did with Serbia midweek, I guess. And yeah, it was a tight angle, great shot. I think he's been unfairly maligned with those 3 assists in this goal. He's doing pretty good. So I'm not complaining about him just yet.
Yeah, for sure. Adriano coming in here, he likes the third kit. I mean, there's obviously people that like it. I just find that, yeah, you either love it or you hate it. The third kits, as of late. If you love it, man, good for you. I mean, go out and get it. But yeah, Dash, what do you think of the Kostic one?
See, I liked it just because it was just a good finish, a good play into it. I totally get the whole we capitalized off their mistakes, but I think I kind of want to give credit to the team because the team was actually looking for Bologna to screw up per se. I'm not saying like they're pressing like a Man City or a high pressing team, but you noticed it. And then, like, for example, kind of like how we did it in our pregame, that is back up, by the way. Like, for example, some of the clips where Bologna got their goals where it was a quick action, it's pure counterattacking where you capitalize off a mistake and you slot something through. It's such a weird season because of the lack of consistency, the lack of really a play style that we have. We're not creating anything out of the back or doing some excessive passing or anything like that, but they're able to make something happen out of a mistake from the opponent, which isn't per se bad to say. I totally get, though, a lot of folks, because there's some people that are happy, some people that are critical, some people that are objective, but I totally get it. I mean, same thing with the Milik goal, same kind of situation as well. It was kind of off a set piece, not really directly off a set piece, but a scrum off a set piece, but it was still such a really good finish. And got to keep props to the Milik man. The Milik man just keeps on performing.
Yeah, man, we'll get into Milik a bit more because I think he deserves a little bit more airtime as of late, for sure. But for me personally, there were finishes. That's what we've been complaining about, is even when we have the chance, we don't finish. And if we're going to be one of these teams that doesn't have a lot of chances, we have to finish. And we did that. We did it 3 times anyways. So it was the quality of the goals, yes. Weston, I totally see what you're saying, and that is a good point. I didn't look at it that way. That's why I have you, right? You always pull that other direction, right? So that's good. I love that. But when I watched the replays again today, they were exciting. I was actually on my spin bike. I was working out a bit as I was doing it. I was like jumping up on my bike a bit because it was actually exciting to watch because of the quality of the goal, that they were actually able to finish. And I guess it's just because I've been let down so many times the past couple seasons, really, where you have those same opportunities and they amount to nothing at the end of the day. So that's why I'm super happy anyways.
Yeah, I think, like you said, the goals were really good finishes. And I think I'm one of those people who love statistics, but I love the eye test. Obviously, you got to mix and match the two together. I think every time I finally think I'm understanding expected goals, XG, something happens that makes me realize I perhaps don't really understand as good as I thought I did. Case in point here, we vastly outperformed our XG. It was like 1.3 or something. So using rounding rules, that would be, we were expecting to have 1 goal. But then at the same time, we also had 3 big missed chances, it says statistically. So I don't fully understand how we missed 3 chances we should have scored, but then also scored 3 when we were only at 1. Someone smarter than me needs to explain that. I don't know if it's an AI problem. But yeah, again, not trying to be cynical, but it is what it is. I think, if we can put those away against the PSG when we get those chances, then let's have it.
Oh, and that's for sure. Yeah, that's when it really does count, because that's when you are only going to have 1 or 2 chances a game, because they're that good, right? Not everyone's Bologna. We got a bit lucky this week with a fairly weak team with a brand new. It was his first match there, the manager, the coach. So that obviously didn't work with Monza. We got beat.
His first ever match ever.
Yeah. So yeah, that's right. He was a rookie. What was his name again?
Palladino. Remember he used to play for us?
Oh man, I didn't even clue into that. All right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He was a bit of a journeyman at the end. I loved when I was playing Football Manager with like some 3rd-tier club. I would always sign him because he was always just floating around.
Nice. Okay, there you go. So a bit of a connection in that, but clearly it didn't work out for him this time. We went over him pretty easily, I think, for the most part. Do you guys want to touch on the other goals? Like, which one of the three was your favorite? I suppose. Let's do that.
I think Milik, man, that was a volley of the ages right there from the edge of the box. Like he looped it over Skorupski.
It was a driver. Weston, which one was yours?
Yeah, I mean that was definitely the best goal from a technique perspective. I enjoyed the Weston McKennie cross to Vlahovic because A, it was nice to see Vlahovic get a goal from open play, and B, as a fellow American Weston, I had to ride that propaganda train as far as I could. That was probably the best ball into the box we had in weeks. So got to give a shout out to that as well while I can push my agenda.
Yeah, I mean, for the eye test, I did really like the Milik one. In terms of technique, I mean, Weston's cross is amazing, but then just the angle that Kostic was able to put that goal in, and I mean, he's not an out-and-out goal scorer, Kostic. He's a winger, obviously, so it's nice to see him come in that tight on the angle and put those away. You know now that he's capable of doing that, so that's awesome. I'm happy about that. So yeah, those were the goals. Let's go into the 3-5-2, is it the future? That was the question last live that we had. Is it actually the future? We saw it today, again, against a weak team. Does this make sense?
I mean, look, I have really fond memories of the 3-5-2. When it works. But also, we used the 3-5-2 when we were building our personnel around that formation, and we had the best three center backs in the world, if you really count them as a sum greater than the parts. But at the end of the day, Di Maria is coming back, right? We've got players, Chiesa's coming back. We got players coming back that aren't really going to fit that style. I saw on Twitter that the rumor is Allegri wants to do a 3-4-2-1 with Pogba and Di Maria behind Vlahovic. I don't really know if that's legitimate or not. Obviously, who does? I just don't really think we have the personnel for it at the moment. Doesn't seem to match what our transfer strategy was. But at the end of the day, if it works, it works. I mean, who knows what they're trying in training? I mean, Danilo's done surprisingly decently as the third center back.
Yeah.
But again, it really worries me that we have no left footers in the center back department, and really kind of want that one on the side to be a left footer. So there's certainly some issues, but there's issues no matter what we do. So
yeah, for sure. But I think it comes down to it's what works right now. And of course, Di Maria is available next match. And who knows about the others? Dash, did you like the 3-5-2?
I don't know if it was really a 3-5-2, to be honest with you. Most of the time it looked like a 4-4-2. Just going off of what I saw in personnel. I mean, it might have been a makeshift, but I'm not a big fan of it. I don't think it works whatsoever for us and what we need it to do. Again, even with when you get Chiesa and Pogba back and Di Maria, I don't see where you put Chiesa and Di Maria in a 3-5-2 because Di Maria can't play a right wing back, and then Chiesa, we don't even know what Chiesa's capacity is at the time right now. I mean, he's back in training and he is running again, so that's also good news. But at the same time, Allegri once said that he wanted Chiesa to be a center forward more so than a left winger. But, I mean, I guess if he's going to put Chiesa and Vlahovic up top next to each other, but I don't know. I don't see it. I would see a 4-2-3-1 more than I would see a 3-5-2.
But that's your thing. That's your thing.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's true. But, that's just based off of the personnel that we have. Because it's I don't know. I just don't feel confident in having, the current setup. Because it's Bonucci, Bremer, and Danilo are your starting three. And then who's the reserves? Gatti and Rugani.
Rugani, yeah.
Yeah, so it's you only have two players that can technically come back or cover. So we know Bonucci for sure is going to be out of these games at some point, whether it be a muscle injury or something. So that means you already have Gatti filling in Bonucci's role, and then you would just have Rugani for Bremer and Danilo to cover, and God forbid Alexandro having to be a makeshift center back at some point. So it's I just don't understand. I don't understand the personnel and why we would switch to something like that. I mean, the team's built for a back four, whether it be a 4-3-3 or something else. I just don't see a back three. I mean, it'll make sense in a game where we just hybrid shift into it in the middle of the game in the match for a half or a couple extended period of time. But to run it consistently for the next 30 weeks, I highly doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. But it worked yesterday. I guess we'll just have to keep on taking those data points going forward and see if we keep on playing it. And I mean, like, I'm hoping we're going on a run. And if the 3-5-2 is what we need to do to make that work, I mean, whatever. Cool. I'll take it. Don't love it, but I'll take it. Otherwise, a couple guys coming in. Sharif, how's it going? Who's that?
No.
I think that's at you, Weston.
Especially when I tie my hair up. I've joked that if I had €1 every time someone called me Rabio, I could probably pay his salary.
Nice. I love it. Call him out.
Actually, I was literally walking to the stadium. No, I wasn't even walking to the stadium. This was earlier in the day of the Coppa Italia finale. I was in Rome, and a bunch of Inter fans were like catcalling me Rabio,
Yeah.
like, hanging out of windows and stuff. Yell, "Hey, Rabio!"
Yeah. Some of us, I think everyone gets linked to some player at some point eventually. Yeah. So you're Rabio. We're going to talk about him a bit too. And again, Sharif's asking why the 3-5-2 wasn't matter of formation. It's true. It doesn't matter. And number 10 coming in as well. How's it going? So now that we got a few people in, I just wanted to announce as well. So number 10, you were the person that won the t-shirt last time. So same thing. Just comment on this video. I'm going to pull the comments. So we actually went past 600 people yesterday. So I'm like, okay, perfect time to do this again. We dropped a bit below. I think you get a lot of bots, or I'm not sure. Whenever you put a lot of the shorts out, you get a lot of subscribers, but invariably a few people drop off. I don't know what it is, why that happens. But that's fine. We hit the 600 for a bit. We're doing the shirt giveaway. So what I'll do is I'll take the comments off today's live, and then tomorrow's a big one too. We got that cultural boy coming in for the pregame Maccabi. He's also going to be here Thursday for the postgame. And we're doing our very first live watch along, me and Dash. And Weston, if you want in as well, I don't care. Everyone can show up. We're going to do a live watch along the Maccabi game. Otherwise, that's just my housekeeping. Sorry, had to throw that all out. And yes, thanks, Animash. But because KB called it McKenny, let's talk McKenny. Good game, high energy. Do you guys agree?
Yeah. He's got a motor. He's got a motor. The dude has a motor. That's the one thing I can give McKenny for. Like, McKenny's got stamina. He's like I think we've said it before in the podcast. He's almost like an infant version of Vidal, and I don't mean it like in a disrespectful term or anything like that. I think there's some stuff that Vidal had that McKenny doesn't have, but I think the one thing that you can pick up from McKenny is he does have a work rate. When McKenny's on, McKenny's on. You can expect him to run without an issue.
Yeah, I kind of said the same thing as well, where I was sort of semi-analyzing, semi-hoping by saying, Locatelli, Pogba, McKennie is the closest we've come to Marquisio, Pogba, Vidal, just in terms of sort of like-for-like style. Obviously, no one's saying McKennie's as good as Vidal, but in terms of a box-to-box player that's really good going forward and is going to drag you all the way across the field for a tackle, I mean, he can do that. And I think... we saw in this match, he had two pretty good headers, both on target, I think. Obviously, none of them challenged the keeper too much, but he's the guy who's getting into the box with those runs, and he's making those headers. Could argue that his positioning, I remember when Milik slammed that shot straight at Skrupski, McKennie, if he had been sitting a little further to the right, he could have banged that rebound in. But I think, he was looking for the header again. And why shouldn't he be? He had gotten two right before. So I usually, that the assist was beautiful. But as the pilot of the McKennie bandwagon, I'm usually the first to say, I don't like him playing out wide. It reminds me of Marquisio playing out wide, where he just feels kind of wasted, right? Because he's the one who's going to be getting those headers in the box. He's the one who's going to be tracking those runs to drag someone down. And I like him better in the center of the pitch, kind of up and down. Not really a Metzala, more of a box to box, so to speak.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you there. I mean, ironically, if we actually ran the 4-4-2 4-4-2 diamond. I think McKennie would flourish a lot in that, because it's almost a similar formation that we ran when we had Pirlo, Marquisio, Vidal, and Pogba, and all of them. So, and that's the thing that I'm a little bit curious, is because Allegri runs a flat 4 in the middle of the park versus that old diamond that he did back in 2015, or the 2014-2015. So I'm just a little bit curious, because like I think personnel wise we're kind of there, because like, for example, if you ran it where Paredes, again, he's not your Pirlo, but plays in a similar position like Pirlo where he's dictating, and then you have Pogba on the left, McKennie on the right, or Pogba up top, and Locatelli involved. I think if you ran those 4 together in a 4-4-2, I think you could get some pretty decent results out of it.
Oh, now you're calling for 4-4-2s again. All right. I thought we wanted the 4-3-3.
Well, no, I get it, but it's just kind of looking at it. It's not like it's a bad problem to have, but think about it. Once everyone gets 100% healthy, I don't see why not running 4 of them in the midfield, especially because you have McKennie to run up and down the box to be that third offensive threat. Then you can free Locatelli and have him move around with Paredes dictating play behind him, and then Pogba as well. I mean, it becomes a really offensive team at that point, but then you run into the Chiesa and Di Maria problem.
I mean, I hate a 4-4-2 with a flat midfield. I've never liked it. A 4-4-2 diamond, though, that's my go-to on Football Manager. I love midfield diamond.
It's so narrow, though. I guess you can play it wider, but it leaves gaps.
It is, but the thing is, it works when you have really, really good fullbacks that basically act as wingbacks, and we do not have that right now. So it's limited. I think, if you're missing your Di Marias and your Chiesas, and you have a bunch of center mids and fewer attacking wide players, now would be the time to try that, like you said, because we've got a lot of players that are better in the middle. But instead, Allegri is going to put Rabiot at left wing and McKennie at right wing, and it drives me insane. Sandro at left back and Cuadrado at right back, like those aren't going to be your rampaging wingbacks that can cover the entire length of the pitch and lend the width that you need for a narrow midfield diamond. So again, there's problems no matter what we do in that scenario.
Yeah, of course, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, let's get off 4-4-2. I don't like it either. It's nonsense. But I'll throw my 2 cents on McKennie, because I am the only one not from the United States of America in this chat, so I don't have quite that bias. And I gotta say, the McKennie, nice, love it. That's the U.S. one, is it?
Yeah, it's the one I got autographed in Canada, which was
right. Yeah.
Otherwise,
awesome. Yeah, that was that really cold day, right?
Yeah. No, I mean I was frozen. I went all the way there to get hypothermia and die. So.
Yeah, welcome to my country. This is the second show in a row we've made fun of how freaking cold it is up here. We touched on Rabiot as well. I mean, let's talk about him. He's a bit of a prodigal son, it seems. Are you guys digging him a bit too, or you on the train yet?
I don't know. I mean, I'm on the Chipotle boy train right now because he played well. No, but that's our inside nickname for McKennie. If anyone is new to the channel, we call him Chipotle boy because he's their spokesperson. But Rabiot, he's a very interesting case. The reason why I say it is because the less responsibility you give him, the better he does. If you're not relying on him to create play or make any passes or really do anything on the offensive side of the field, he does surprisingly well. Like if you just tell him to be a defensive pivot and just become a heat-seeking missile and just go in for tackles and disrupt play, he does that really, really well. Is he worth 7-8 million a season? No, I don't think so, because that's just a one-dimensional player that should be paid 5 or 6 max, not twice that amount. But the thing is he's interesting because the thing is, again, he takes 8 to 10 months to warm up, but he's surprisingly warming up a lot quicker than normal. I don't know if his mom is telling him to play better because it's a contract year or whatnot, but him as a defensive pivot or an enforcer per se, I dig it. Am I on the train? No, but hey, it's a nice
perfect. That's so perfect. The frickin' train's coming through your house right now.
That's the Chipotle train, guys.
Oh man. You could that is not a sound effect, guy. That is the train. That is the Rabio train.
That's the
leaving.
Rabio Express pulling in right now.
It is leaving the station, and none of us are aboard. I don't know, Weston. Are you aboard?
I'm not, and I touched on this in one of my articles where I was complaining about the transfer window. I think that there's a lot of recency bias here. He's been okay lately, right? And so a lot of us are kind of putting the past behind us and saying, "Oh, it's fine that he didn't go to Man United. He's doing fine now." But I think you got to look at the big picture, which is this contract's ending at the end of the year, and there's no feasible scenario that I can see unless he just really levels up for some reason, where renewing him is worth it, because he's, like you said, it doesn't matter. Even if he kicks into a slightly higher gear than he is now, he's not worth the amount of money that he's going to demand in a contract renewal, which means that we're going to lose him on a free, which is one of the things that I hate the most. I really, really hate losing players on a free. And that's why people need to think 2 steps ahead. And that's the reason why Milan is outperforming us right now, because they are thinking 2 steps ahead and we're not. And that would just dictate that Rabiot has to go either in the previous summer or in the previous year. And when you look at how Zakaria or Zakaria, I still don't know how to say his name.
Yeah, nobody does.
He took the fall, and it's like, look, well, we're going to make some money off him, and that's fine. But Zakaria could have been the destroyer alongside of Pogba, whereas I don't think Rabiot is as strong in that role. But ultimately, the thing that bothers me the most about him is he's lazy in smaller games, and he's always so much more active in bigger games. And someone who's getting paid that much simply can't have that mentality.
Yeah, $7.5 million, I believe he's on. And
7.5 to 8, I think, somewhere around that.
Yeah,
that's ridiculously high.
And he said he wants to continue to stay. If he's going to stay at Juve, he wants to continue to get 7.5. That's my biggest problem. I do like him, and as people have been saying, we have not conceded a goal with him on the pitch this year. I think he is very underrated defensively. He's a complete flop offensively. I mean, once a year he gets a screamer, pulls it out of nowhere, and I just completely flabbergasted when it happens. But I think he's important. Yeah, he's just, like you said, that defensive pivot. We got him now. He's good enough for what we need to do, essentially. So I'm not going to say, yeah, let's get on the train full steam ahead, but like I'll ride the train till the next stop.
In a way, he's kind of the anti-McKinney, because you think of McKinney as a player who's a big game player. McKinney always levels up against big opposition because he's scored against Torino, Milan, Inter, PSG, Barcelona, Mexico even. I mean, when there's a big game and a big team, he steps up and gets better. Whereas it feels like Rabiot, whenever you're playing a mid or lower level club, he just gets worse and actually is like lazy and useless and doesn't do anything. So it's almost like they kind of, maybe they're in the average, they're maybe similar, but they kind of, in terms of the ceiling and the floor, can be different.
So let me throw this thought nugget out for you guys. So Rabiot leaves at the end of the season on a free. Does the club reinvigorate or reintegrate Zakaria back into the club? I know this is a little bit of fantasy, but just thinking about it, because again, they're almost kind of similar. I think Zakaria has a lot more physicality, and I think he kind of offers a bit more. But it's just, that was one of the shock departures I honestly didn't expect.
He's a bit of a glass player, though, in that he seems like he's going to be a lot more injured. Rabiot, despite, he did just finally get injured this year for a couple weeks, but that's just so important on our team right now, is having the guy that will show up and will play 30-plus games. And Rabiot, I mean, like I said, we're paying for him now, so he's working for what we have.
I don't recall, though, was Zakaria's injury like a contact injury, though? I don't know if it's fair to say he's injury prone because he got hurt. Like maybe he did just pull up. I don't remember actually.
So I don't know too much about his time at Chelsea right now, but if we're considering the injuries that he had with us, I believe they were just groin pulls, both instances where he pulled his groin and was out for 2 months. It's just, I'm a little bit just curious per se, because it's like, even when he was with us, he almost played like a box-to-box midfielder instead of being kind of like a defensive enforcer. So, like, that was one of the questions I always had about Zach, was like, we're not really playing him in what he does. So I just never got that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is we're not playing Rabiot or McKinney or Locatelli in the role that they're best in either. And I think
True enough.
when it comes to the midfield, Paredes and Pogba, they're going to be the ones pulling rank. But if any center mid's going to get their ideal role, it's going to be those two. with Locatelli maybe third in the pecking order in terms of who's where. But as far as Zach goes, Zach leaving was a symptom of the club not having any strategy and not knowing what they're doing. I think it speaks less to Zach and more to the management, and the management just not having a coherent plan. I think if Chelsea buy him, we make a huge profit, and that's fine. I think if he comes back, he's a serviceable squad player, and that's fine. So I'm not too worried about him either way, to be honest.
And that's exactly it.
Yeah, as even Annie Mesh is very passionate about it too. He's like, we should just put in Ravella. He's like, forget Big Z.
Well, I don't think he's burned any bridges. I think he was right. I think what he was saying is that there clearly are issues at the club. I touched on this last time I was on the pod. When players used to leave Juventus and talk shit about us, we'd laugh at it because it was ridiculous. Now when they leave and they complain, we think, well, you're probably right. There's a lot of smoke.
Good point.
I'm hesitant to blame Zach for anything.
Here's something here. Good question. Can we talk about the empty stadium? Sure. Let's touch on that. That wasn't on the agenda, but I like this one. But before we talk something a bit negative, I want to do something a bit positive. Farhad has a sticker pack he wants to give away from the Turin Giants. So what I'm going to do is comment the comment that makes me laugh the most. I don't care what it is. I mean, keep it on base. Nothing too ridiculous, like PG-13, let's say. But make me laugh. I'm going to send you, or Farhad will, on my behalf. I'll send you a sticker pack. But let's get into the serious talk here. The empty stadium.
Someone's got to say something funnier than comparing me to Rabiot. That's the best one.
Well, yeah, like if I start giggling, you're going to know anyways. But yes, the same empty stadium. So just a bit of context. So number one, yes, the seats are not completely filled. But number two, some of these pictures that we're seeing
are bad angles.
And I heard like up to 90 minutes before the game actually started. And if you looked at some of our shorts, we had Kevin. He was just pumping out videos of the players warming up. And he was there about 90 minutes before the match actually started. And as he continued to send me the videos, and you can see, like I posted them in real time essentially as I got them. You can see when they were released, and you can see that the stadium is filling up over time. So, yes, there is still an issue. The stadium isn't full. Weston, hit it. What do you think it is?
Yeah, I mean, people are dissatisfied with how we're playing. They're dissatisfied with how the club is being run. You look at how they brought a DJ to play before to try to get people out and get people excited. Look, I work in the music industry. I love the intersection between music and calcio. I think we should have more, integration between art and sport. It's great. But you got to get people in the seats first by playing football and running the club well. You bring in the DJ after to celebrate that, not to kind of paper over it. And I think that was a little frustrating to see in context. But I mean, again, if you look at the stats, we had less possession than Bologna. We had fewer passes than Bologna. We scored counterattacking goals, right? So we weren't dominating this game. And I think, it very easily could have gone another way if some of those shots didn't go in and Bologna got one on the corner. Do we have the stadium that's going to motivate those players to come back? I don't know. You think about 5 years ago in a game like this, the crowd would have been at their back the entire time. And at this game, what was left of the Curva booed them at the end of the game, even though we won, because they didn't go stand under it to celebrate, right? We only see the players go to the Curva to apologize. We didn't the Curva do it to celebrate for some reason this time. So again, it just the vibes are still off. I think winning is very clearly a good first step to fixing that. But there's still work to be done, obviously.
All right, KB's trying to get me to laugh, I think. No Pirlo, no party. I am a fan of alliteration, so if you can definitely work alliteration into things, I am more likely to maybe hit on that. Bash, what's your take on the stadium?
So the thing is like it's interesting because I understand the business perspective of it, where the prices are outrageous, and then I also get like I get it and I don't get it because like the thing is I'm not there's a thing with Juve fans where I'm a little bit perplexed or confused on. some of them are protesting and saying, okay, we should not go and buy the tickets until the club does something about some, yada, yada, yada. And then you have the other spectrum of, hey, we need to go out and support the club. And I think it's just like this really weird clash in the fan base between each other, between certain groups of the fan base, where some are trying to boycott the stadium because of the ticket prices and et cetera. And then the other spectrum of the fan club is saying, hey, we should support our club and, X, Y, and Z regardless. I did kind of find it funny that the players didn't go to the Corva after the game. They should have. I mean, you gotta. It's just one of those things where, especially, I'm a little bit appalled that Bonucci of all people didn't walk over to him because he is the captain. But the clips that Kevin showed us, and those are really awesome clips. If you guys look on our shorts playlist, where like the Corva was completely packed, like. There's some angles on the TV that they don't show you on Paramount Plus of the stadium. The edges are full. It's just the one where the TV camera angle was 30, 40, 50% capacity. But like at the ends of each goal, everyone's there. And I mean, think about it. As a fan, that's probably, if you're not sitting on the sideline, that's probably one of the best seats is being right behind one of the nets, because you get probably one of the better views, and also you get a shot at taking home the game ball if it hits you. But I think, and it's just like, the Milanos, where like when they were in their banter area, you only had stadiums that is, and you think our stadium's bad, but imagine getting only 20,000 people in San Siro. But like, once the team starts stringing together some performances, start hitting some stride, I think the seats are going to fill up. I would be surprised if not too, because right now the Milanos, even though like Inter's not in the best shape and form right now, they're putting out big numbers because of the product that they've put out. So I think it's a little bit more so on the team. Once the team starts, consistently showing some matches, some wins, some good performances, I think people start coming back.
Well, like you talked about the angles that you can see behind the camera, you didn't know there's actually 5,000 Condrevas just packing out one of the stands.
Yeah, again, guys, check out the shorts. There's a few different things. So there was one of just the Curva losing their mind. Honestly, just like singing, and it was absolutely amazing just hearing that. And I don't know if you've ever been in a stadium when that happens, man. Like you feel it, you definitely feel it. He did also get a shot right at the end of the Curva booing, so you can see that as well. So positives and negatives. I mean, if you just want to see what goes on from a fan perspective, and he was right at ground level essentially. So definitely check that out.
Just one last thing about that, I'll just say, we hadn't won a game since August. We went 0-5 in September. It's like they didn't even know it was my birthday month or something.
Okay. There's the drop. So sorry. Happy belated.
No, you didn't know me anything like Juventus did, but it's been a long time. And what did Allegri say in the presser? He said, I almost couldn't believe that we won. He said he and the players were shocked, right? So, there is still this sort of pervading sense of dissatisfaction and doom. Maybe is a strong word. I don't know. Maybe it's not. But these things take time. It's going to take more than one win to get back a sense of normalcy.
All right. Sorry, I'm just reading Jack's here. Was it? So I'm still going to watch Juve games live, the PSG and Inter games. Okay, so you actually go watch them live, Jack, is what you're saying. But at least I know Inter game will be good as we both are swimming in the mud. Yeah, right now we're both not doing that great, but we are now ahead of Inter. So, hey, it's something, right?
Pull up Fat Mob and you can't see them in the table because they're below the fold of this.
Yeah, that's the joke. Yeah,
awesome. I thought I was the only one that uses Fat Mob.
No, Meridian Managazzo actually tweeted that yesterday. So somebody had cut it down to 5. Last week was like the top 5. But then Marion, he was one of our regulars around here. I guess she's not on tonight, but I'm sure she'll catch it. She made sure to get the whole thing up to 7th place, and she did the whole comment if your team's on the list. So thanks, Marion. Our team is now on the list.
I mean, somebody else tweeted this, so it's not an original thought for me, but someone said something along the lines of, Inter's doing even worse than we are, but no one's really talking about the fact that they're underperforming because no one cares. Everyone's busy. Juventus underperforming because we're the ones who people are paying attention to, right? And that's a double-edged sword, but at least we can cry about all the attention we get.
That's part of it.
And I think that's one of the arguments that Dave and I have made over the past couple of weeks, where it's like we have a higher standard or a higher expectation as a club than anyone else in Serie A does. So, like, for example, even if we fart in the wrong direction, it's going to get amplified just because of, it's prestige. It's just because of the amount of titles we've won, the success we've had in Italy. So, again, we're technically the flag club of Italy. So, any minute someone gets anything, you'll see Corriere dello Sport, Gazzetta dello Sport. Everyone's just going to sit there and jump in and say, "Oh, hey, look at that! Allegri looked at someone and made a funny face. Let's write a paper on it," even though it's the international break. So
I know those papers are from Milan or Rome or whatever. That none of them actually are from Torino, so they're anti. They have biases, essentially, is what I'm saying.
Berlusconi owns half of them.
Yeah, Berlusconi. Yeah, he owns the media in Italy. So there you go.
So it's one of those things where I've expected it. And I mean, of course, Inter, nobody cares about Inter. So that's why everyone just sits there and they're like, "Oh, hey." To be honest, I haven't even been following them at all. I should be, just to understand, because we're going to be playing them in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, they have the best squad.
Seeing Spinazzola cross to Dybala to score against Inter, and it wasn't for us.
Yeah.
Because two players that their Juventus end was not handled very well, and could have been for us.
Yeah, Dybala. You know what? That was a nice goal, but let's not forget he still went off the pitch injured. So
did he?
Oh yeah, of course he did.
Yeah, well, and the thing is like I've always had my thing about Dybala. My issue with Dybala was he was commanding more money than in my opinion, I think he should have earned.
And we saw that with his actual contract. He didn't get anywhere close to what he deserved or wanted. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, that was my thing, and because a lot of people were going on Twitter like, "Oh man, Juve shouldn't have let him go," etc., and the whole blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, if he didn't have a used car salesman as an agent, I think he'd still probably be on Juventus. But I liked Dybala as a player. Just the handling of his contract situation off it just kind of irritated me for the money he demanded and for what he offered the team at the time. I was just kind of like,
It's in the past, anyways.
Yeah,
at this point, like we've beat this one with the stick so many times. Let's move on with it. Sorry?
Like you said, it's been beaten to the ground talking about his departure. For me, I was there at his farewell. I went to see Chiellini, obviously primarily, but those were real tears. I think he meant it. At the end of the day, we can talk more about Roma. Great piece of business to get Belotti and Dybala for free, especially considering the chemistry the two of them have together. From their time at Palermo, and then obviously they spent the last decade or whatever living in Turin together. I'm sure they were hanging out. But I mean, to get that duo for free, great piece of business from Roma. However you think of from the Juve perspective.
Yeah, I mean, good for Roma. Puts more competition into the league, and overall, that's healthy. We may not like it as Juve fans because it weakens us, strengthens an enemy, but as a whole, I mean, it's good. And I mean, there have been positive calls as of late, looking at all the great strikers within Serie A right now. Whether you like them or not, Lautaro, Dybala, Vlahovic, Leao. Man, I'm probably missing a few as well at this point too, right? But it shows the amount of quality within the league. And let's be honest, Serie A gets shat on so much, especially from the Prem heads. Let's actually take a look and recognize the type of quality throughout the league here. Bring back Lord Bentner. All right.
Gosh, I remember he was a Conte signing back then, and I think it only lasted a season too.
But someone posted the picture of Bentner and Anelka with their winners' medals standing together. Really give a raise to our photographer decided to make the two of them stand side by side just to get a photo of them with their medals. But I mean, that really showcased how good we had it then, right? I mean, we won the league, and we had great kits, and we had comic relief at the same time. I mean, it's a triple win.
Yeah. Gosh, we went from Lord Bentner to Lord Storaro to Lord Bernadeschi, and then now who's going to be the next? I guess you could say Lord Rabiot.
don't hate on my Lord Berna.
Hey,
He's the
Juve
best.
Berna.
He's one
Juve
of the
Berna.
yeah, but MLS Berna, superstar. Speaking of superstars, Chiesa, Pogba, back in training. First few steps really at the run, so still very early days, but this is positive. I'm happy, especially I'm a big Chiesa fan. Not so much Pogba, but I know he's got a lot of his fanboys as well. So I think there's a little bit for everyone to be excited about in that one. Weston, are you a Pogba or a Chiesa guy?
But isn't Chiesa back in team training and Pogba just their individual training? Is that?
Yeah. But I mean, they're in colors kind of training. So
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Absolutely. No. I like them both. Yeah. I mean, they glad to have them both. I wanted us to try to get Pogba as part of the Ronaldo deal. I was very disappointed that it didn't happen. I remember thinking at
yeah,
the time, the only thing that justifies this oversight is him joining for free. He did. Obviously, he's injury prone. Obviously, he's expensive. I didn't think he was going to get 45 minutes out of a friendly and then collapse. But I think that he will feel a lot more at home with us. And I think hopefully we'll get some better performances out of him than Manchester did.
for sure. NMS coming in, so much quality. Napoli, Atalanta, Udinese, Lazio are top four. Yeah, I guess you can make fun of that, but Napoli have Osimhen, Muriel at Atalanta, Lazio, I mean, Immobile. Udinese, I don't know how the hell they're doing it, but I mean, they're doing it, so good for them. I mean, you have one of those teams every year, right? You had Sassuolo do it a couple years ago, so we'll see if it sticks. And this probably has so much to prove and get over from injuries. Two less two-pack outfits and fewer voodoo scandals. Oh, man.
He said Tupac.
He's not wrong, though.
He's not.
Oh, man. Okay, so that's that made me laugh the hardest so far. So there you go. Sharif, you're in the running.
I will say that with Pogba, again, he has some intangibles. It's not just what he's going to put on the pitch, right? Because he's our number 10. He's a leader. He has a big personality. He's a World Cup champion. Even if he's not as good on the pitch as he was before, even if he's only above average as opposed to, world class, I think he's going to bring something to the locker room that we're missing, especially with no Buffon and with no Chiellini. Obviously, Pogba's not the same kind of leader as those two were. I'm not comparing him in that direct sense, but he's top of going to be one of the top of the food chain players in the locker room, and not having him. Having him under police surveillance on a hospital bed somewhere is certainly not ideal. So
For sure. All the drama that comes with that guy as well, right?
Yeah. But I mean, hey man, he gave us a really good 45 minutes when he did play in that friendly with us. Like I will say that. Like, we'll joke around about his haircuts, his Tupac outfits, and his Miami Vice shirts that he wears whenever he's in Miami. But like, guys, Pogba's a baller. Like
He is.
If he can put out 30 games, he's gonna cook. Like
Yeah.
Pogba is one of those guys that can change the entire play style, your dimension of your squad, just because of how lethal he is. Like it gets to the point where coaches are going to scheme against him by man marking him or sacrificing a midfield player or two just to keep Pogba on lock. So we joke around about it, but 2018 Pogba, World Cup year Pogba, was incredible. Also, I mean, before he got the ankle injury that led into Bruno Fernandes at Man United, Pogba was doing really well with Man U. And the thing is Man U is a shit show of a club. I don't know how it is. I don't know how Ten Hag is right now, but I'm saying prior to it, when Pogba was there, the place was a mess. So
It's still a bit of a mess, yeah.
You're not going to have consistency because there wasn't a foundation off the team. Because that's why, the thing is like everyone says that he flopped at Man U, and it's like, well, Man U doesn't have anything to succeed.
Ronaldo's flopping at Man U.
Yeah, Pogba, he was at one of the lowest points in Man United history, modern history anyhow. Where he went from having a Vidal alongside him, a Conte alongside him, to having nothing but chaos alongside him, and his stats still weren't even that bad. I think.
Yeah.
It seemed like he was doing worse at Man United than he was, simply because the fans there didn't like him like he's loved in Turin. And again, it's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy where if the fans are behind you, the fans aren't behind you. Not only is that going to frame how you're doing, but it's going to influence how you're doing. And I think he's going to be better for coming on.
Now, Dash, you mentioned Miami Vice. So Higuain, he announced his retirement. Of course, he plays for Miami currently.
That was a world-class segue.
I know.
Thank you. I try, guys. So I actually got to see him Friday. I was at the TFC game, as some of you know. I potentially, if he doesn't score in his last 2 games, I potentially watched his very last goal as a professional footballer. So that could be pretty exciting. I don't know. It was a pretty nice tap in that he put in. But Higuain, I think, people rag on him a little bit for his mentality, getting soft on the big games. But I don't know. I like the guy. He put in a good couple years, bagged a few goals, more than a few goals anyways. How do you guys feel?
So, speaking of tap-ins, he probably tapped in one of the most crucial goals ever against Inter Milan almost 4 years ago in that comeback.
There you go. There's a segue.
That the actual Turin Giants have shared on Twitter. So if any of you guys follow us on Twitter, you can see that clip there. But yeah, I mean, Higuain, guys, like, despite the beer belly trolls and the memes that we got from him not being fit, he was there for some of our high moments. I wish we could have had a higher moment with that Champions League final, but hey, it is what it is. But that comeback right there with Inter in the league, the comeback against Tottenham Hotspur and the Champions League with him and Dybala combining in that second leg in London. The dude gave us great moments. Mentally lacked in some regards, but the guy was a great goal scorer at the end of the day. And, something that you hope Vlahovic grows into is to be just that lethal goal scorer up top. So great striker in a long line of Argentinian strikers.
Yeah, and again, guys, if you want to see, I put it up on... I don't think I put it on YouTube. I just had it up on Twitter. I did have... it kind of sucks, to be honest. I was at the very first row of the second goal, but you can see Pepito. He's like that big, and you can see Berna. If you really want to see 2 number 10s, ex-Juve players at like a couple millimeters tall, I got the video for you. Just get me on Twitter there, which is now I did change it for my personal account. It is Turn Giants YT, so please follow there for all the updates regarding the YouTube channel. Weston, did you put your 2 cents? Sorry.
No, I think Higuain's a great example, unlike Tevez before him, in terms of the long line of Argentinian strikers, of a player who won me over, who I didn't like, and he won me over. He went from Real Madrid to Napoli, where he was a huge threat against us, and that sort of dickish kind of personality. I remember laughing out loud when it was down to the wire, like 3 games left in Serie A, Juve, Napoli neck and neck, and he snapped and threatened the ref and got suspended for like the rest of the season. And this was like when he was, scoring a goal a game for 36 games in a row or something like that. Crazy. I remember thinking like, wow, that's great. Like, fuck that guy. Like, we're totally winning the league. And then he joined, and of course, then he was being that type of character for us, and actually winning trophies along the way. And how could you not love him, right? And so, for me, I think signing him is one of the greatest transfers in modern Juventus history. Not necessarily just because of what he did, but in context, taking the Pogba 100 million,
Could you tell that Weston lives in the Bronx?
No, that's not me.
Oh, that's Michigan?
I live in Brooklyn.
Oh, Brooklyn. Sorry, the other B. That's Easton.
That's not me this time.
Okay, so Brooklyn's even bigger, but Dash.
Stereotyping me on here. Stereotyping me. But yeah, I think taking the 100 million from the Pogba deal and activating his buyout clause for Napoli, not only did it completely kill the competition, but it gave us a big center forward that we were missing. And I really think that that was a Bayern level destructive move in the transfer market, and I just thought it was so bold that we did it, and I was really glad we did.
Here's a question. So I'm not really down with the NFL. I don't follow it that hard. I think you guys could probably answer this one a bit better.
Antonio Brown. Wow.
So fill me in, because I recognize the name, but there's obviously a backstory. So for all of us non-NFL guys.
So It's funny, but it's not funny at the same time. So Antonio Brown is known for having a very out there personality, very bombastic, outlandish, just kind of does whatever he wants whenever he wants. And unfortunately, a lot of indicators are saying that. So he did suffer a very nasty helmet-to-helmet contact when he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Cincinnati Bengals. He was going in for a crossing route, and a linebacker hit him really hard in the head, and he landed on his head. And he wasn't really the same since. But what happened is Antonio Brown had to catch, I believe, 4 or 5 catches in his last game with Tampa Bay to get his signing bonus. And the coach wouldn't put him in on the field. He said, "You have an ankle injury. You have to sit out." And Antonio probably did have the injury, but again, he has to catch the ball 3 times for $1 million. Who wouldn't, right? I would do it if I had one leg too. So the coach refused to put him in. So Antonio Brown proceeded to then take off his uniform completely in his pants, run around the football field, giving the bird to people on the cameras, and then walk to the locker room, and no one ever saw him since. The team didn't see him since, and then he just kind of quit, pretty much. So
he said take his pants off. I think we have somebody that matches that description.
You snitch?
Yeah. Which was his birthday a couple days ago, as we mentioned. Jeez, what's going on?
I have no idea. I'm going to mute myself.
All right. Weston, what's your take on that?
I don't know anything about NFL. All I know
Okay.
is I kept seeing on Twitter a blurred out video of him like sexually assaulting people in a pool or something.
Oh, all right.
I don't know.
Okay, cool. And see that I'm totally profiling you. You're American, so you must be down with the NFL, right?
Well, I'm going to come to you when I have a question about maple syrup, so get ready.
I actually make my own maple syrup, so ask away. I totally do.
This is why you're into stereotypes, because they're all true for you.
They are actually. There's a lot of true stereotypes. Like, throw the Canadian ones at me. There's a good chance I'm at it. And yes, I know I have the ridiculous Canuck accent. I can't help it, guys, man. And I've lived all over the country, so I can pick up a little bit of the accents. My wife's a Newfoundlander from the Far East. I lived out in the West. East, West, everywhere. I've lived it all, so I sometimes say some pretty stupid things, so call me out. I mean, it's funny, so definitely call me out. And here we go. It was a D pick, apparently.
Yeah, Antonio Brown also did that, too. You know, I think the person that's probably the closest to Antonio Brown is probably Mario Balotelli.
Okay.
To an extent, I think it's Mario Balotelli, because the dude lit his bathroom on fire.
All right. We have a winner.
Yeah.
All right, I want to remind everyone, too, I put the barcode up there, the Discord. Check out the Discord, everyone. That's where we can continue the conversation live. We put in our game day predictions. I mean, you can do live watch-alongs. You can stream your games, FIFA or whatever. It's great. If you haven't checked it out, at least check it out. See what it's all about. It's a great platform just to continue that conversation. And
Canadian sentence right there. Yeah, check it out. It's all about.
Exactly. I know. I do. Exactly. Boots. Out and boot. I get it. I'm brutal, but I mean, you can't fix me. I'm done.
But speaking of Balotelli, one of the things that I had a flashback to seeing Thiago Motta's incredibly punchable face on the sidelines versus Bologna was in that match, if you recall, in 2010 when Marquisio scored one of the greatest goals I've ever seen. And Balotelli dove and pretended that Felipe Melo elbowed him in the face. Do you remember this? Thiago Motta got in a fight with Buffon. And I remember vividly that being probably the angriest I'd ever seen Buffon until he was sent off against Real Madrid in his last Champions League game. And so I never liked Thiago Motta anyway, but whenever I saw him, all I could think of was just how angry Buffon was. It just made me angry. Because, I mean, really, he's usually the peacemaker. He's usually getting people, saying, hey, like, you all respect me. I'm telling you to chill out, and then they do. But when he runs the length of the pitch and Thiago kind of pushes them, I'm like,
yeah, I never liked Thiago Motta. I always thought the guy was kind of a scrub.
Well, and now he's a coach, so you can hate him as a coach. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
It's okay. He gave us 3 points yesterday, so I'm not that mad.
Yeah, not so bad. So once again, guys, the sticker giveaway. I'm gonna give away a couple packs tonight. I'm gonna throw out what some of these stickers are gonna look like. These are the new ones, the Gleason Bremer. So the winners are. Let me make sure I get it. Sharif Mabrouk. I hope I'm saying that right. You made me chuckle a few times, as well as KB. You've made me chuckle a few times. Some sarcasm as well, which I appreciate. I always love that. As well as you've just been there for pretty much everything. So as a thank you, I'm gonna get you a sticker pack. So get me on the Discord, the Instagram, which I kind of check once in a while, the Twitter for sure. I'll check. Yeah, just hit me up. We'll make sure you get it. Fabio Moretti one there. We have, oh yeah, the ADP. I like that one. It's a good one. And Farhad decided to give us a little video for that one. So yeah, those are some of her stickers. Definitely check those out. And yeah, those guys, KB and Sharif, contact me after. And of course, the shirt giveaway, just comment on the video, either live or on the replay. And we'll draw that tomorrow with that Calcio Boy on. One last piece of news that I have. Not big, but Hans Nicoluja and Caviglia extends until 2026. So some youth players. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know these guys that well. Do you guys have any insights on them?
I think they're Primavera. I think they're under 19. I know right now that there was an Italian one that was a striker that's been doing really well. Same thing with the guy that we've talked about, Yiditz. Then there was a third one. I forgot his name. I think it might have been Nicolusina. So I know for sure Cavingula and Nicolusina are under 19 Primavera players. My thing is like, I don't really buy too much on the hype of a youngster, especially if they're in the under 19s or the under 21s. For me, when I start really kind of buying in is when they're on the first team, when they're getting in a couple minutes, when they're being brought in. Like, for example, Moretti, you kind of understand the hype behind him because he's been actively being integrated into the squad. Because the thing is like everybody says they have the next great wonder kid, and then like he goes into the under 23s and you never hear from him again until you find out he gets sent out on loan temporarily or something like that. So it's like, I don't know. I'm a little bit indifferent at the moment.
Weston, any insights?
Yeah, I see his name a lot, probably because of how long it is. It just takes a lot of space. He's been floating around. I don't really know anything about him. I think I saw him at a friendly once, maybe, that I went to. He came on. But yeah, I mean, the Turkish striker seems to be doing really well. And I saw this really funny thing where there was some quote where he's like, yeah, like I want to get a chance with the first team. You know, I'm feeling confident. And someone actually sent that article to him on Insta and said, hey, bro, congrats on your goals. Did you say this? And he replies, no. So the only thing we're getting from the youth team, which I at least can't see here in the United States, is just made up headlines. So it's exceptionally difficult to actually have any opinion on them. But hopefully they're good. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I recognize more so Nicoluja and Caviglia. Hans, I know nothing about. So I mean, I've seen them very briefly when you watch those.
Isn't that the guy? I thought his whole name was Hans Nicolusi Caviglia.
Is it? I thought that was.
No, that's one guy who's a really long ass name.
Yeah.
Is it?
I don't know if it's him.
Okay, because I've heard Nicoluja and Caviglia separately. See, okay, so I really don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Right, I don't think any of us do. That's the thing. I mean, I'll see. You know.
Okay, yeah, Hans Nicoluja. Okay, that is one person. Caviglia is another guy. All right,
it's like
I'm only half retarded.
Well, no, it's like player. It's like Jordan, Theosin, Sibachu, Pifok. It's like he's got 100 names, and every time you see him, they use a different one. So I mean,
okay, it's one of those. So I'm sorry, guys. I mean, just make fun of me. Make cuts, make shorts of this. Just call me an idiot. Call it what it is. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, it's like I didn't know this at the time, but like Ronaldo has like 5 names. It's like Cristiano De Santos, De Ronaldo, De Avero, and I'm like, it's like 6 names.
That is a lot. I can't keep track of that. And it's bad. I don't know. Here's some more Canadiana. French Canadians hyphenate all their names, but they're all named like John Paul. So their first names are all hyphenated. So everyone has at least 4 names in Quebec. And it's just so confusing. Everyone's named JP. But anyways, Animesh coming in here. Gintoli, are you talking about Napoli sporting director?
Yes, he is.
Okay, I did not hear of those links yet. Interesting.
It's fresh this morning. So they're saying that we're being linked with Guntoli to work alongside with Carabini. So essentially, it'd be Carabini and Guntoli working together, and then again reporting to Riva Bene up top. I'm not opposed to it because Guntoli has been able to find diamonds in the rough as far as like player wise. So we're not, you're not buying ridiculous amounts, but you're getting players that are being developed. And I don't know if you would say Spalletti is a development coach for players or not. I mean, that's arguable, but and it's him. And then I don't think this is as true as it is the Guntoli links, but I remember seeing reports that we were linked to Iglitare, which is Lazio sporting director, which I give him credit, man, because he's been able to build a competitive team for Lazio with the amount of limited resources that Lazio has provided them.
Yeah.
Both of them, if the club is trying to go in the direction where they get cheap players or players that are essentially on the verge of popping but haven't popped off yet, and then building them and integrating them into the squad, I think it's not a bad idea if we get linked with Guntoli or Tare, because again, they bring in those players as well, and then you can sell them for a profit per se, because that's one thing that we suck as a club is we suck at selling players outside of the Dolic transfer and the potential Zakaria and Arthur sales if they go through. We haven't really had a successful sale outside of Pogba back then where we've actually made a decent amount of money. Because, like, for example, Higuain, gone on free. Matuidi, gone on free. Dybala, gone on free. All of our departures have been either terminal contract or mutual contract terminations or literally just letting them walk. Because, like, for example, Douglas Costa, we spent $46 million just to give him away for free to LA Galaxy. And technically, he's still on the books. So,
still,
maybe.
I thought that ended.
Nope. Riva Bene said in an interview a couple weeks ago that Costa's technically still on the books for the wage.
I think that's correct. There was some papers that came out over the transfer market time that showed some of these, just these one-off things that we're still paying for.
Yeah, just because, again, we loaned him out to Flamengo, or I forgot the name, but that team got relegated in Brazil. So then he ended up getting shifted over to LA. I believe he's at LA Galaxy right now.
I think that's right.
So, yeah. So the thing is like, it's disappointing to say the least, because even and we can make this argument. Same thing with Beppe Morata, because Beppe Morata didn't really sell players that well either outside of Pogba. But I think it's just because the only time we make money off of players if we sell them to Man U at this point, just because they're literally our red button eject club that just spams money at us for no reason. But I think it'll be a good thing if we get Tari or Guntoli as a sporting director, because they can find a Karinsvara that Napoli have right now, or even, like, for example, an SMS that Tari ended up scouting for Lazio. So you get a player like that. And I mean, hell, man, like if you're able to bring in a role player, like an average player, and raise his value to 20, 30 million just to sell him, you buy a player for 5 million, sell him for 25, 30 million. It's not bad business at all. It's just something that I think we lack, because, like, if you look at your Man Cities, you look at your Barcelonas, you look at your Real Madrids, they can dump players for 20, 30 million and get some revenue from that. And that's something we haven't had for the last 10 years, is where we've been able to pawn players off for revenue.
Zakaria.
Yeah, but that's if it goes through. That's one of those things.
Sure.
So, and then, like, even Arthur technically would be taking a loss because we bought him in for 60 and the obligations for 35, 37 million if it hits.
Business. Yeah.
So even Delict, in theory, technically Delict was sold, I believe, 5 million less than what we purchased him for. So,
but he was amortized, so it's okay. I mean, if you believe in that. Weston's shaking his head.
I'm so tired of hearing amortization. I just, like, Juventus selling a player for less than we bought it is bad business.
It makes sense from, like, the banking books. the account
Yeah, but
books.
in terms of our reputation in the market, the perceived value of our players that we find and sign should be gaining value when they come to us.
Yeah,
We should,
it's bad footballing business, but in
right,
terms of accounting, it
exactly.
makes sense. Yes.
And look, I'm not an expert on other club sporting directors. I'd like to know who's behind all of Atalanta's brilliant decisions and if they're available. But I think you look at Kvara, you look at Al Haaland. These are players who Juventus scouted when they were in obscure locations. There's pictures of them wearing Juventus gear, but we didn't make the decision to pull the trigger. So the scouting's fine. We found them. We just didn't get the deal done. But then on the flip side, you look at Pogba. Pogba, obviously, it doesn't take a genius to scout Manchester United's academy, but we took the decision to sign him. That was really good. So it's difficult sometimes because there's so many hits, so many misses. It does feel like we're getting left in the dust sometimes by the Atalantas and the Napolis that have to try a little harder than we do. But I mean, we're probably in more debt than they are at this point. So if we can find that's good at playing at that level, I mean, sure, let's do it.
But like even like a Kingsley Coman, like we got him for free, we sold him for 30 million. That's not bad business at all. I mean, yeah, again, he ended up being a bigger player than the value, but still, it's being able to have transactions like that to help the club out, because that's just another source of revenue that we're just not getting at all.
Well, we are seeing them start to play guys like Fagioli a bit more. Obviously, Moretti, Sule, of course. So, I mean, hopefully we're trying to build some of these guys up from the ranks. We are. We do make some of these, like Cambiaso. I can see him getting turned around for, I mean, a bit of a profit anyway. Zakaria might. There's at least an attempt, but yeah, you can argue we have to do a better job, and we should do a better job, especially Atalanta is a perfect example right there, especially a couple years ago. Getting to the Champions League, just coming out of nothing essentially, and building that team into a bit of a hipster team. Everyone wanting to get on that what do you call it, the wagon.
I think we if you look at it in isolation, we make good deals. We do some good business in isolation. Obviously, mostly more heavily weighted to really good incoming deals versus really poor at offloading some dead weight. But really, again, it's the lack of an overarching strategy. It's not thinking two steps ahead. There's no coherent plan, and that I think is the big issue we have. Right, we have 1,000 players in one position and no players in another position. We're signing a player and then letting him go 6 months later. We just need to kind of decide what we're trying to do and stick to it a little bit better. And that's something that's been really frustrating for me. Same with Rabiot. Another example. It's like, okay, we sent Zakaria away and we kept Rabiot. We could have dumped in, I don't know, say we dumped in $5 million to help pay for his wages for a year or two. The amount of money we would have made still would have been a net gain, whereas now we're getting nothing when he leaves, right? And one of the biggest arguments that we have in the New York Juve chat is over Donnarumma. I am one of the believers who we should have signed him for free when he was offered to us, and some of the other folks in our chat very vehemently disagree with that. But again, I think it's not even a discussion of how good he is. If you have an opportunity to sign a young goalkeeper for free who's that talented, you do it because his value is only going to increase. You're only going to make money off of that deal no matter what happens. Because you could have sold Szczesny, gotten 10 million even from Szczesny. Now what's going to happen is we're probably going to lose Szczesny for free, or he's going to stay at the club while his value decreases to nothing and he retires, right? So it's like there's just so many moving parts that you got to do these things that are going to make you money in the end and kind of get you set up with an overarching kind of squad, what's the word? Foundation, right? And I just don't think that we're doing that.
I mean, Piazza is still in the books.
That guy. Yeah, we talked about him this year a bit too.
He was injured. That's all.
No, of course, but just being able to offload or remove players like that, it's just, there's one club that I admire how they do business like that, and it's Chelsea, because Chelsea will bring in a crap ton of young players, loan them out, and then flip them for 10, 15, 20 million easy.
I don't know though. I think Chelsea is a good example of poor execution of a good plan. I mean, look at it. They let Salah go. They let De Bruyne go. They let Cuadrado go. They let Kalulu. Right? Kalulu was.
I think it's from him or Tomori. I
think it's a good idea to it's the football manager tactic where you buy a bunch of players, farm them out, and then profit off of them. but I feel like they're a really bad judge of talent, and they love to overspend and then send their own young players out on loan and then spend a shit ton of money on signings that have a higher reputation maybe. And then this summer they bought everyone Tuchel wanted and then sacked him. So like that didn't make any sense.
Well, we did that with Sarri, so I mean. Okay, Sharif asking here, how do you think it's fair how Perlin is treated? I mean, he is the backup. I think he would have understood that Tech is going to get the start this time because he's healthy. But at the same time, I hope to see him a lot more often, especially because there are so many games coming down the pipe. So why not rotate them and keep them both hot? Essentially, I know there's a bit of a compromise in that, but I don't know. He performed so well for us as a backup. I think he needs some more kicks at the can.
I'm surprised he didn't get a call up for Italy.
That was the one thing that we talked about. We're like, how did that not happen?
Of course, yeah.
And I think as far as Perrine goes, he's decent, right? I mean, he's a good backup. But again, I mean, you look at Donnarumma, right? Perrine is there because he's a solid backup who doesn't complain, and he fulfills a nation-trained quota spot for squad registration. People are saying, oh, Donnarumma has high wages. You signed Donnarumma for free last summer. You can sell both Szczesny and Perrine while they have value because now Donnarumma fulfills the nation-trained spot, and then you just get any old random goalkeeper off a free agency list that can be the second backup. It's we
sold Israel, our youth guy. I mean, we could have, just hypothetically, he could have perhaps made the senior team as well with Pinsolio if he had Donnarumma.
I don't know. I mean, it's silly to kind of beat that dead horse a year later, even though the New York Times still argues about it every time Donnarumma does anything.
Of course, yeah, no, that's true.
I mean, it was my fault last time because I was posting his saves in the Italy game. Like, see.
They were great saves, mind you. Come on.
I think Perrine is solid, and I think he's doing his job. I don't know. We have two okay goalkeepers. We don't have a Mignon. We don't have a Donnarumma. And Juventus has always had the greatest goalkeeper in the world. And I think anything else than that will feel underwhelming until we can get it again.
I think we will eventually, but I mean, again, we're so hypothetical. It's one of those conversations. It's like talking about 4-4-2 again. It's just, there's no point in it.
The what?
Otherwise, guys, is there any other last points you guys want to hit before we sign off here? Weston, any shout outs, anything?
I just thought it was funny that they exchanged copies of FIFA instead of pendants before the game.
Oh, I missed that. Oh, man.
Talk about product placement.
Jeez, yeah, I was rushing in. I was actually just coming home from Toronto, so I was rushing in to catch that game.
Yeah, they got licensing in Football Manager and FIFA now. Juventus does. They don't have the exclusivity with Pro Evo anymore. I just thought it was funny because it's one of those things that everyone's either going to love or hate, but I just thought it was funny. But I will say one of the best pieces of Juve content from the Twitterverse this last week was someone took the video of Juve walking into the stadium with our anthem playing, and they took the audio of that guy who shouted "Allegri, Vaffanculo," played it to that, and they said, "Wow, the fan noise is so realistic now."
Oh, that's awesome. And of course, guys, we stream FIFA. I actually streamed a couple matches just before the live, so if you're into that, please join us. It's also just a good chance to shoot the shit, honestly, just kind of on a more casual level. What's he saying? I think the Coppa Italia would be called something like FIFA, etc. I'm not sure what you're saying. Sorry, man.
I think he's saying, like, how like you'll have like the Coppa Nazionale. I think he's saying that it won't be called the Coppa Italia or the Tim Cup or whatever.
Okay.
Usually the Coppa Nazionale. That's what.
FIFA for FIFA, used. Like EA FIFA Coppa Italia.
Yeah.
Right now it's like Freccia Rossa, which is the interregional train there in Italy. Dash, you got any last?
No, the only thing I got is, guys, get ready for a very, very action-packed week from the Giants, man. We're going to be churning out stuff for all of you guys. We've got that Calcio boy this week. We have
Twice.
our FIFA career mode series as well that we're going to be doing. We're also going to be doing a watch along with us, and hopefully we're not going to have any delay in it. So if you see us start celebrating, it's not going to be like, hey, did they just score? Oh, you guys spoiled it for
They'll
us.
still be like 5 seconds, but
Yeah.
yeah. We'll lay down the ground rules.
We'll poker face it, and then and then we've got the Milan pregame, and then we also have our buddy Adrian from Rabona TV talking with us for Benfica the following. I think it's not next week; it's the week after.
It's at the end of the month. I think.
It's at the end of the
25th.
month.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have an action-packed month of October, and also just because it's the World Cup doesn't mean you're not gonna see us too. So we have some fun stuff for the World Cup as well, guys. So
yeah.
we're gonna be rolling in the next couple of weeks.
Busy. Weston, hopefully you can pop in for some more of those as well if you can. The invitation's always there.
Is there a link or anything for people to follow you on social media, Weston? Anything outside of Football Italia that you want your viewers or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly active on Twitter, which is the name. I keep the pictures mirrored, so I keep pointing the wrong way.
It's right there at Weston Pagan.
Yeah, I mean, I mostly just freelance kind of here and there for different folks. And obviously, I'll share that on there. But yeah, if you want to see me complain or pretend to be funny, it's usually there.
Right.
I think you're funny. I don't think you pretend at all.
Thank you.
Otherwise, yeah, thank you. It's appreciated. We always love having different people on, different opinions, and I do love your opinion because you don't hold back, but you also formulate your arguments very well. You're not just throwing shit at the fan, as I say. So thank you very much for doing that. This is your first time doing this, so things are about to get real weird here. We're going to turn the lights down, the music's going to play, and Dash's voice is going to turn sexy.
Don't worry, I'll be gentle. Alrighty, everybody. It's Monday night. Just wanted to thank you all for hopping in on the show. Big kudos goes out to KB because he was with us during the FIFA stream and the actual live show tonight. Sharif, thanks for joining. Glad you won your stickers. Hopefully you get them and put them on your laptop. Send us a picture of them if you do. And get ready, guys. This is going to be the double header week or the triple header or quadruple, whatever they call it. But see us tomorrow for the Mahab Hafia pregame show with that Calcio boy. Thank you, everybody. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Weston. Thanks, everyone. Love you all. Have a good night.
Guys.
See you tomorrow.
Forza Juve.
Forza Juve. Fino al fine.